for a panel discussion now. Um, can we all settle down, please, ma'am? Can we're beginning now. Thank you. Okay. So the panel discussion is on technology-driven market. For this, I would like to call upon stage Jesse Paul, CEO Paul Writer. Can we have a big round of applause for Miss Jessie Paul? It is the Paul Writer. It is an advisory firm that works with clients to create and implement optimal marketing plans at the intersection of traditional, digital, and frugal marketing. Previously, as CMO of Wipro's IT business, and as global brand manager at Infosys, Jessie has been recognized for her contribution towards putting the Indian IT industry on the global map. She is the author of No Money Marketing, which became Tata McGraw-Hill's fastest selling professional book. She is Jessie Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, please clap for her as I welcome her on the stage. I would like to call upon now Siddharth Kapoor, VP Marketing, CarrotLane.com. Techie in his previous avatar, Siddharth heads the marketing team at CarrotLane.com and is responsible for the entire gamut of branding, marketing, and demand generation activities. An electronics engineer from MS University and IIMA graduate, he has worked as software developer and lead developer at Microsoft, and from there he went on to head the online sales and marketing efforts at Dell India. Welcome, Mr. Kapoor. Parul Nagpal, Vice President Marketing and Alliances, Bluestone. Welcome you, ma'am. Parul Nagpal. Okay, yes, we can clap. Harder, please. Okay. Parul Nagpal is a brand management and marketing enthusiast and has handled brands across lifestyle categories of fashion, home, beauty, watches, and jewelry. She was appointed as Vice President Offline Marketing and Alliances at Bluestone.com in 2013, before which she spent over 7 years with brands like Lifestyle, Home Center, and Splash. She is an electronics and communications engineer and an MBA in marketing from SP Jain Center of Management. Welcome you, Ms. Nagpal. Okay. The next one is Raghunandan Gangappa. He is the co-founder at Taxi for Sure, ladies and gentlemen. Please, let's build up the energy for them. They're going to speak for next half an hour and we need the applause rolling. Thank you. He's an aggregator of car rentals and taxis in India, started the company in 2011. His passion is to make taxi rides hassle-free, convenient and reliable, made Taxi for Sure do over 1 million trips and ferry 3 lakh happy customers across Bangalore, Delhi, Chennai and Hyderabad. He has been profiled in the 2014 Fortune India's 40 Under 40, a listing of under 40s who managed to grow an idea into a profitable business. That's quite an achievement, Raghu. Okay, I welcome you all. And also the session will be moderated by Ravindra Krishnappa, who is popularly known as Ravi, as he was telling me. Sir, welcome you back on the stage. The stage is all yours, gentlemen and the ladies. Thank you.
Thanks. So you're going to see me again. Unfortunately, I don't think you have a choice. I got pulled in, and I'm definitely not Rahul Chaudhary. So I'll like to see what pound of flesh I can claim when he comes in. Like to get started very quickly, and I'll start with Jessie, because I think she's been doing this much longer than most of the other people at it. As a context, technology-driven marketing, I'm sure has changed dramatically over the last few years, right? So where do you think, what were the key points in time that you think changed or defined? What were the defining moments of change?
So I think the first one was actual digitization of a lot of stuff that you buy today. That was step one, and that led to a lot of changes. The second one is that today you have a digital wrapper for almost everything that you do. So even if your product is like a car or a taxi ride or anything, You have a digital wrapper which tells you where the person is, how was it consumed. You get a lot of transparency into where it's moving. And possibly the first guys who did this were FedEx, which was the first one which would tell you where your parcel was moving day by day. And when they didn't have a lot of technology behind it, they still kind of tried to do that. And that movement has continued till today, where almost every product that you now want has some kind of a wrapper. So the challenge for marketers is actually that now, everyone's heard about big data and it exists, but not many people have figured out what to do with this big data mountains that they're sitting on. And how do you convert that big data into a big insight? And from there, how do you actually change your product or service to incorporate these big insights that you got? Because a lot of us marketers are from the old world, old economy. We still think in terms of good ad campaign and, at best, a good DM campaign, good SMS campaign, good email campaign. But the way you approach the entire thing has changed. I mean, you can't say, I used to book a cab on the phone, now I want to book it on a mobile phone. Now the whole thing is, do you have a CRM system? Do you have your visibility? Can you track? There's GPS, there's so many other things in it that you have to digitize the customer experience.
Taking off from there, Siddharth, you came in from the Dell kind of a world where you were going to go out, where the brand existed in some ways before you went digital, right? So coming from there to a place where you have to go create a brand, or in some ways, do you need to create a brand at all, or you think users will do that for you?
So I think you cannot shy away from investing in your brand. The fundamentals do not change in that sense. However, there are a lot of digital tools that are available to you to make that process a little easier. You have engagement opportunities with consumers which are low cost, zero cost, and you are able to engage with the better connected consumers in much better way. You can engage with them continuously. You can build communities around them. I think the other related aspect to this is ROI measurement. As a small business, business that is just starting off, you do not have the ability to invest a lot of money in marketing, in traditional branding, and having digital, a lot of digital tools available to you. You are able to do a lot of experiments, do a lot of testing, through which you can bring down your costs, improve your ROI significantly.
So jumping to Raghu, taking from that piece, right? In some ways, that was a lot of what you heard, especially from what you'd probably hear from somebody like me or from Jesse, were the off and then the offline and then the web world, right? In some ways, you have kind of bypassed all of that with the 2011 start. I'm sure you almost at the mobile first mode. So what do you think changed? What do you think are the defining moments?
See, for every entrepreneur, I think the biggest resource or the most constrained resource that anyone has is time, right? And I don't think so any entrepreneur should make any kind of compromise with respect to time. And if you get into offline kind of marketing, right, someone has to really go evaluate a lot of options and things. So it wastes a significant amount of time. So that's the reason, since we were so hell-bent on saving our time as much as possible, that's the reason we took the online route in the way we do it, right? And also, technology-driven marketing also gives you a better understanding of your business also. Initially, when we used to do SEM or SEO, right, the way we used to look at marketing was to do a city-wide blanket marketing. But what we realized was we were essentially spending marketing dollars in places where we didn't really have any free cars. Right, we were essentially paying to get a customer. The customer used to try to search for a taxi, but they were not able to find it. So we were essentially paying someone some money so that they have a bad experience with us. And over a period of time, what we did was we started doing marketing in places where our free cars come in, right? So essentially what we did was wherever any car becomes free, so we use Google AdWords. Google AdWords had this lat long and given a particular radius, and after that you start doing that, right? So what we did was we started increasing the CPC on which we were bidding for those keywords, but the overall budget for the entire month came down by 60%, but the amount of business, the kind of CPC that we were bidding increased by 5x, right? The more money, lesser money started giving us much higher returns. And that's one of the reasons we believe in using technology to do marketing.
So you're effectively your balance between demand supply and how do you manage to extract the maximum out of your demand supply balance, right?
Exactly, exactly.
But Parul, that's a very different piece, right? For somebody who's entering in the traditional purchase of jewelry process where there are established brands, where trust is a huge factor. They want to touch and feel before they look at something. Isn't that what somebody would do? How would you ever create a demand supply balance? Is there something like that, or are you just creating an awareness to create the demand in the first place?
See, we are in the business of creating the category, and this category does not exist online. So if you were to go some years back, digital was pretty much an interface for marketers to communicate what they have to, or it was a way to touch the real world. But today it has enabled us to optimize our communication, and the future lies in actually generating an experience which is beyond the offline world. So there are things that a digital experience allows you to do which even an offline world does not, and we'll probably discuss those in detail as we go along.
Jesse, from I'm sorry, I'm just using the structure to go back very quickly. Given that there is so much of expectation of technology as a player in the digital marketplace, what do you think about the ability or the sustenance of the service providers, right? What is their preparedness in going and meeting this? Because obviously, as you said, things are changing overnight, right? What do you think is going to be the way forward?
See, marketing is finally about storytelling. So the storytelling is in two parts. Somebody like a Parul would want to tell the story of a jewelry. I mean, you don't pay money for jewelry just because it's a bunch of stones and gold. There's always this thing about love for eternity, or, diamonds are a girl's best friend. Those are the older stories that were created to sell a particular product. The second part of the story is that it was also sold to the customer because you know the customer's story. So you knew that this person was about to get married, or you knew that this person, recently has come into money. So what technology and service providers have to do is help you to tell these stories in the new language. So the same beautiful jewelry ads that you see on, say, a Titan or Tanishq can say, wow, I now need to tell those same stories in the YouTube context. I need to be able to translate that YouTube story to a Twitter story. And to be honest, the same way that most people here can name 10 favorite ads on TV, I doubt if they've seen 10 online-only campaigns that they love. So it's still storytelling with a combination of old-style storytelling techniques, as well as using technology to get the word across. But honestly, I think the bigger story now is not, the marketing piece, but the product design integration piece.
Just to add to that, what I was looking at is the preparedness of a service providers. Earlier, you knew who you would go to for a particular marketing campaign. You knew in some ways the expectation of where they would help you and how they would help you, right?
So that's a Wild West right now.
Okay.
So if you were, if you made award-winning campaigns in the past, it does not mean that you're going to get ROI-generating campaigns today. So the small startup down the road in Koramangala might be better for you than, the 10 lakhs a month retainer guy in Delhi.
Okay. So,
Ravi, just to add to that, the preparedness of the agencies. There are certain agencies which probably are not aware of the certain use cases that would originate. So we used to work with a few agencies. Once we shifted to the hyper-locality marketing, where you just do marketing in only 2-kilometer radius of where your cars are, none of the agencies were prepared to do that. Right? So we essentially, whichever the agency that we used to work with, we essentially pushed them to get down to that level and also help them how to figure that bit out. And they started reciprocating. If you just show, if you can essentially tell them the vision, okay, this is the vision, you need to do hyper-locality marketing, it's not necessarily going to help only our company, probably even people like Muskalandar, even they will be benefited by that hyper-locality marketing to that level. And we were able to influence even the Google relationship manager that we had, right? We went to them and we told them that we need something like that. They essentially came up with a separate airport-based product for that, right? So the agencies would start reciprocating if you have that kind of a vision in terms of we need such kind of tools, such kind of accesses, the agencies will start reciprocating.
Ravi, I would like to add something there. I absolutely agree with you. I think today what has happened is there are a lot of agencies who are experimenting with very new age services that they're providing marketeers. It allows you to target and personalize and whatnot. What has done to marketers, what that has done to marketers is that we actually window shop for technology, and which is a solution in itself, and then we try to fit that solution into the problem, right? I think it's very important to have a vision, understand what your challenges are as a business, what the problems are, and then ask the agencies to reciprocate with a fit solution.
Yeah, so I'll take the thread through for Siddharth. From when you go out and look at that, is there a tendency for some of you who are launching this to say, I will bring this in-house because that either the technology awareness or the provider themselves are not aware? So is it going to be more of do it yourself from what you see happening?
Absolutely, and I think that trend has been on for the last 3 or 4 years. I think the root cause of that is bulk of marketing spends in India have been in the traditional world, and correspondingly the marketing agencies, media agencies have not themselves invested in skills to come up on the digital space. Correspondingly, their people are also not as good on the digital side, and that is why you see more and more startups, more and more e-commerce companies moving their media spends in-house, moving their SEO in-house. SEO is one great example where in India, agencies are just not keeping pace with the speed at which Google's moving, or Google's algorithms are changing, or how search engines are behaving. So definitely, even from an innovation perspective, you expect innovation to happen in-house, and Raghu's example was perfect, that the input came in-house. Now, if you're able to build that team also in-house, nothing better. Otherwise, you'll have to invest the time and resources into your agency to get them up to speed.
So, yeah.
Can I just interrupt? I mean, you're talking a lot about the agencies and so on, but I mean, among the panel, how many of you have a tech roadmap for your marketing team? Saying that, I'm going to have CRM on this, and next year I'm going to invest in this tool, and today my analytics is Google, which is free, but next year I'm going to invest in, say, Adobe Marketing Cloud. How many of you actually have a roadmap? Because it's not just the agencies. The agencies are a very thin layer of what you're going to do. A lot of it is actually internal investment in technology.
Yes. So on that piece, from a technology perspective, today do you have the luxury of putting together a 5-year, 2-year roadmap, or are you just reacting? There's a reason why I'm picking on that, and the reason is I don't know. And this is what I'd like to know. Is there something that you can do proactively, or in most cases, I've given up being proactive and saying, hey, I will take it one day at a time?
So, interesting question. So what we try to do is, if that is not our core of our business, we'll not touch it. Right? If there is an agency who is ready to do it, let them do it. If the agency, if we feel that they're capable of doing it, we'll help them to do it. But we will not try to take it up internally, because all our bandwidth, we want to focus on what is the core to us. That's the reason. But if you're talking about how technology is integrated with marketing, so we have a sub-team of 6 people in the technology team, right, with an engineering manager, a team lead, and one senior software engineer, a couple of software engineers, dedicated only for marketing. And on the product management side, we have one dedicated product marketing person. That's been the focus area. And we also have analytics people in the marketing team as well, who do the data analytics and come up with products, which the product marketing will take it up and work with the technology team to do it. So that's the kind of thing that we have. And in terms of roadmap, we know in terms of what should be our cost structure, right? But we don't know what are the products that we will be using a year down the line or 2 years down the line, because there is so many things that are happening in the market. It's very difficult for us to predict. But what we have is we have a cost structure. This is the kind of cost of customer acquisition that we have, and what should it come down to? What is the kind of brand budget that we have, and how much we should spend it to? But on what levels, on what things that we will spend it to, we don't really have those things.
The reason I picked that is your mention of the CRM as a structure, right? Now that is not going to go out of style, hopefully, right? Because I'm always predicting, even if I'm going to look at a new business, it's all the lifetime value of a customer. How do I measure the lifetime value of a customer? How do I build the relationship with a customer and hopefully hold that customer for life, right? Or is there any such thing?
So, okay, I buy a lot of stuff online. We moved away from a place which had malls, though we're still in central Bangalore. So I buy a lot of stuff online, and I can tell you that nobody's actually tried to do much CRM with me, and I spend tons of money. Okay, I've bought 80,000 bucks of groceries online since December. Now the tool has come up, so that's one added. But let me twist the story around and say, see, it was all about storytelling, and we've heard about SEO and everything. So maybe 3 years ago, what you wanted was to be in the top 10 of Google homepage. And if you weren't in the top homepage, it really didn't matter where you showed up. But today, if you're not in the top 10 apps on a person's phone, I won't find you, right? So it's a battle for the phone mobile download. And there, if you don't have a technology roadmap saying, here's why it makes sense for you to have this app, because continually I'm going to give you added value of some sort, whether you call it CRM, product design, hyperlocation, whatever, however you want to tell your story. If you don't have that, no one's going to keep your app, because most people don't have a fancy iPhone. They have much smaller phones with much lesser memory. So they're going to boot out the app which does not deliver continuous value to them.
But so there's more to a relationship, right? For you actually have to create trust, right?
Absolutely.
From what I think a lot of what it is user experience and how do I build that. But how do you build trust in that piece? Is that a storytelling piece, or you think that's
It is definitely. It starts with storytelling, but it does not end there. So once you acquire a customer, it is an equally important task to keep that customer engaged with you. And that's also where a lot of content comes in. And you need to, technology enables you to ascertain at what given point of time should this customer who's already bought from you or is thinking of buying from you, should this customer be presented with content that will enable their decision further, that will make their decision easier. So that's where technology comes in and helps you handhold that person through her journey as a customer.
I'll go to Raghu with the next question, but before that, as compared to something where they want something done quickly, like a taxi for sure, you want time is of essence, is what you said. Do you see that being reversed for something like a jewelry piece, where you want them to spend time, experience
Absolutely.
it?
We
so
want them to.
How do you create that difference?
Yeah, so in the online world, if I were to draw a parallel to the offline world, so for a woman, shopping is an activity of joy. And when she goes out shopping, she consumes a lot of stuff. She probably, after shopping for a couple of hours, she stops by at a restaurant, sips a cup of coffee, probably calls a friend in between. And in the online world, one really has to do a lot to keep her engaged during that time she browses. The browse cycle could be anywhere between 1 week to 1 month. That's the amount of time that she takes to take her decision. So one advantage that online has is just because of the medium itself. She has the liberty to come and go whenever she wants. She's not bothered by various requests of a juice and would you like a cup of coffee at the jewelry store, at a typical jewelry store. So she can take her time to browse through whenever she wants and take a decision herself. At the same time, it's very important for us to lead her to what she's looking for. And there are, so how technology there comes in is enables her in the product discovery piece. Technology enables her to find what exactly she's looking for according to her psychographic profiling. There again, a lot of technology is involved, basically recognizing the customer, knowing who she is, what she does, what her lifestyle is, and how you can engineer a product recommendation basis all of this. So it's a very, very involved process.
And it is obviously a time-consuming process from a relationship build.
From a relationship point of view, it is.
Okay. So Siddharth, on trying to build that relationship, right? Because it may not be as expensive as putting up a large hoarding and setting up an offline store and working through. The e-tailing kind of started off with a faster, better, cheaper value proposition, right? I'm just we're working that through, and I think that's kind of held out in a lot of other pieces where you see volume growing. Given that you are in the jewelry side, you are in the high value purchase mode, do you see that also happening correspondingly? Do you see any of these couponing, discount, faster, better, cheaper work?
To some extent, but I have to say that for the jewelry category, we really have to invest in getting women to lust for your jewelry, right? Finally, it is a product that people want to buy, and for that you have to stay away a little bit from. You have to make sure that your brand does not become a discount brand or is not seen as a cheap brand. At the same time, there are certain benefits of being online which you want to make sure people understand and your value proposition is communicated properly. So those aspects have to be taken care of.
So Raghu, they have an advantage that they can control the end service delivery because they are in control of the end service delivery, right? In some ways, the promise to deliver is somehow controllable to a large extent, right? Whereas you have to go and figure out what is being delivered at the field, has it met the promise? Correct?
That's correct.
So how do you manage that piece? Because marketing is also part of setting that expectation of a promise.
See, so we typically drive that through processes that we really have. So our engagement with the taxi operators is the same as corporate and a taxi operator. Right, a taxi operator who's working with, let's say, a Wipro or an Infi or Accenture, right, and a female employee of Accenture if she's taking a cab at 2 a.m. in the morning, right, because Accenture doesn't really work with the Merus, the Megas kinds. They also work with the local taxi operators. How safe does that female employee feel when she's taking the 2 a.m. cab from our office to home? That's the kind of experience level that we want to really provide. And our association with the taxi operator is more or less the same thing. Right, an Accenture who is working with a local taxi operator, if they probably give around 40 or 50 trips per day to that particular taxi operator. But taxi for sure, once it starts engaging with a taxi operator, probably we start with 5 trips per day. But over a period of time, as the company is growing, we get to that 40, 50 rides per day. But eventually we get to 100 or 120 trips per day. Right? And once we cross that threshold of 40 to 50 trips per day, an operator is investing in new vehicles because of taxi for sure. And once that person starts investing in new vehicles, if Accenture would have stopped working with that operator, probably that operator had an option of figuring out how to generate 40 or 50 trips through some other channels. Once that guy starts investing in new cars because of taxi for sure, once we take him to 100 trips per day, if we stop engaging with the taxi operator, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to generate that 100 rides per day, right? So the moment an operator starts investing in the cars, we know that we can drive whatever that we could do.
That's your hook and to reel the person in if there is.
Exactly. As you scale, right, you need those kind of hooks. And also as a practice, what we do is we ensure that not even a single taxi operator that is working with us doesn't service more than 10% of our bookings, so that we don't want to be dependent on a single taxi operator. So that's the norm that we follow. So there are systems, there are processes, and there are these hooks. As we scale, they also scale, but they become more dependent on us, due to which we can drive a lot better service levels, and that's how we build a brand as well.
Jesse, I just want to add to this. Even for a business where we are trying to control the entire process, even we have to make sure that we are measuring the performance of each stage of the process properly. Internal SLAs have to be defined, because those aspects of the business cannot be compromised, particularly for an online business where there is, to some extent, a lack of trust, there is hesitation in buying high value products. We have to make sure that the same kind of investments are made here as well.
You see, a lot of what we have heard is where they are coming into the business fresh, right? It's not as though the brand has existed for a long time, where you have to worry about protecting the brand, the value of the brand, what the brand promises. Do you see that changing, where somebody has to transition from being what I call as an old style brand to a new style brand? And how would they navigate the technology chasm?
So it all depends on their mindset and how willing they are to do business differently. So jewelry, some of them have tried to do it. I mean, retailers have tried to do it. But the thing to bear in mind is that many of the successful online-only models like an Amazon or an Uber have come purely with technology as a differentiator. It's not design, it's not product quality, any of that. It is really starting with design, technology as a core differentiator, and everything else is okay. And that, in my view, is a great opportunity for India because traditionally we've not been so hot on packaging and things. But where the danger lies is that in general, India is not a high service country, it's not a high packaging design country. So we've overcome that and moved to the next one saying, okay, next, technology, automation, transparency is the next bit of differentiators. If we don't think that way, then again, it's going to be, oh, Indian designed, no, not so good. So that's actually more important. You can have all the brand you have, but if you can't give me transparency that your cab will arrive in time or your jewelry will arrive in time or it's pure and everything else, I still will hesitate to buy from you versus some newfangled guy on the block who says, look, I will show you everything that I'm doing, every 3 minutes.
So putting you on the spot, imagine you were Tanishq and you had these two newcomers on the block snapping at your heels. What would you ask? What would you do as Tanishq to go and
I think
protect?
Alokdeep was here, so he started in e-commerce. So I saw him when I came for lunch, so I mean, he's the obvious person for this. But in many ways, the brand name only helps up to a point. So I've actually been on their site and they do almost everything that everyone else does. What varies is the story, and that still holds true. So the delivery can have transparency technology, but the Titan or the Tanishq or the newest brand, I think, is Zoya. That story is different from a Carrot Lane story. It is different from a Bluestone story. And there's nothing wrong in that. Carrot Lane tells a story of diamonds. Tanishq tells a different story. Bluestone tells a different story. Which is why we come back to the original one. What is your story? Why should someone buy from you? That fundamental question you still have to answer. And then you have to put the digital wrapper around it. So my advice to any old brand that wants to enter the new space, and mind you, they have to enter really fast because I don't buy this argument that India will take 10 years to go digital and online and internet and everything. It's happening much, much faster because India will have assisted e-commerce where a guy who doesn't have a smartphone or doesn't know how to operate it will go to some small kiosk guides like how you get your phone recharged, everything. We'll have an assistant who will do it for us. Right? So it's going to happen within 10 years. So if they can't make the transition, no matter what beautiful story they have, they're going to run out of customers.
Okay, so with that, can I throw it open for some questions? Because I noticed we have about 6
Lot of
minutes.
questions.
And, yeah, a lot of questions. Yeah, let's try and give.
So we'll take the gentleman.
In the blue, he put up his hand
in the blue,
first.
yes. I think this is for the first time you're asking a question, so please. Sir, can you please get up and say your name and...
Hello.
Yeah,
company
name and whether you're a service provider, you're a user, you're anything
Hi.
that sets the context.
Yeah, I'm Anshul. I actually work for Bluestone. But I have a question to all of you. Do you think with the increasing number of technologies we use in marketing, it has actually become a double-edged sword for us? How do we stop technology from becoming a hindrance in the life of a customer while in the first place it was meant to help them? With the pressure around us to use so many technologies at a time, we are trying to actually get into the minds of customers and talking to them in real time from several different directions. And quite often than not, in most of the cases, people get irritated the way you use technology.
So you said everybody, so let me just cut through very quickly. Do you think technology diversity is going to be an issue? Just very quickly go back.
Well, it is. Like I said, that even us as marketers are bombarded with technology solutions, and we struggle to find the right solution to the problem that exists with us. And I think that's where Anshul is coming from as well. It is a double-edged sword. I agree with him. But the key is to really integrate this technology and use it only to enhance the user experience. The goal should not be to optimize marketing monies, should not be to make your marketing more efficient. It should be to enhance user experience. And then you'll probably be able to take better decisions.
There's this fancy diagram on a site called Chief Market Tech, which lists all the technologies. I think he's at 900 something now, right? So he's got this little crunchy diagram with every possible marketing technology, and he's got roughly 900 and odd pieces, categorized neatly and everything. If you look at the number of agencies in India, it's way above 10,000. And somehow marketers never have a trouble in finding an agency among this 10,000 that's what they think is right for them. So if among the 900 you're not able to figure out which is the best fit for you and your plans, it could be that, you know, maybe we're not equipped with the right skill sets to choose the right roadmap. And maybe, you know, we need to evolve into marketologists, or, you know, have this IT guy who comes and helps us out, or a consultant. But possibly we're not equipped for the future customers or the future technologies.
So I'm going to switch that in very quickly. So do you need a consultant to consult on technology going forward, given the diversity? Very quickly.
No, I think as long as you are sure about your proposition, you will be able to figure out what kind of technology experience you want to give to your customer, because you are closest to the customer, and all of us ourselves are consumers as well, right? So choosing the right kind of technology is not very difficult. We just have to make sure that we are not crossing any boundaries in terms of becoming pests for customers, irritating them in any way.
So Raghu?
This is an interesting question. See, what we do internally in Taxi for Sure is we build a bunch of hypotheses, right? And we try to figure out how will that hypothesis pan out, right? And what we do is we look at the portfolio companies of our investors, right? And figure out who is the one who is very close to the hypothesis that we have built, that we need to achieve. And we just drop by at that their office, talk to their marketing team, and figure out how are they going doing it, and why did they even start doing something like that. So we work on that.
You go internal validation before you go to
someone who is actually using it, because if you ask someone who is not using it, they will probably say all the good things only. So someone who is using it, they will probably give us the practical.
Okay, can we get another question?
Yeah, hi. My name is Apratim. This is purely from an agency perspective. I was listening to you very carefully because this is for the first time I'm listening a lot of things about the agency. Just trying to understand, do you guys really feel that there is no Bharat existing other than India? And if it is, and if the 65% today in the morning someone shared that they only access internet through the mobile, then do you think that a direct marketing experience of a consumer to eventually the product and the technology, the technicalizations of this entire process, there is some sort of a missing link all of us are trying to solve it?
Would you like somebody to pick that up specifically?
No, any specific, no, nothing specific. Anyone can reply, because I also see that, working with different clients, that there is a huge set of Bharat exists, which do not necessarily.
You'll have to speak up a bit, I guess.
What I'm saying is there is a little bit of Bharat also exists, which doesn't necessarily speak and understand the way we understand marketing and technology.
So let me paraphrase it slightly differently. What he's talking about is there are all these tier 2, tier 3 places where you have availability versus affordability kind of structure that may be getting into. So quick word, you think that's going to overtake, or it's going to follow a particular structure? You think the market for you is going to be more and more in the tier 2, tier 3 cities as you go forward?
Yeah, I think our business is a bit different. Most of the travel in tier 2, cab travel in tier 2, tier 3 cities are predominantly the decisions are made in tier 1 cities. Someone who's going to a Rishikesh or a Haridwar and stuff like that, the decision is made primarily in Delhi, even Jaipur, Agra for that example, right? So our marketing, even though we are looking at driving business in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, but our marketing primarily would be in tier 1. I think we are a bit different.
What about you?
For us, we see enough demand coming from tier 2 and tier 3 cities as well. I think the key point is if the consumer in the tier 2 or tier 3 city sees value, for example, in our business, they love our design, which is not available in the tier 2 or 3 city, they are going to overcome any of these technology hurdles to buy from us.
So their need is going to overcome everything else.
I continue to go with assisted e-commerce, which is, like you said, if the story is appealing, technology won't be a barrier. We've always bought from the US somehow, right? All kinds of wheedles on how to buy from the US. Like that, people will figure out a way to buy from where they want to buy.
Yeah, I would agree. I wouldn't say that one has to communicate very differently to the Bharat and differently to India. These are two segments that exist at the same time. But at the same time, Bharat is always moving towards India and is looking up to India to derive its inspiration from. So I think as long as we're recent players, we're new players, as long as we talk to India, Bharat is going to follow.
I think we should get one last question if you,
Yes.
if anybody has anything.
There's a
Otherwise,
gentleman at the back.
I represent a company called Amphenite. It's a
can't hear you,
We
sir.
can't hear you, sir.
Is it audible now?
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
I represent a company called Amphenite. It's a digital agency. My question to the entire panel. I heard you guys saying that on SEO, there are very few agencies who understand SEO and they can manage with changing Google algorithm and stuff. My question is, do you guys give them chance to go through that? You put in a pressure of ROI and do this thing into keywords, do this thing into these things. You actually start dictating your terms and want agency to follow it up. So don't you think that you should give some chance to agency and breathing space to agency to experiment and give you returns back instead of demanding that I want this kind of return? And I'm saying this because one of the panel members is also one of our clients. Though we have done a very smaller work for them, but one of the panel members is one of our clients.
So do you want that panel member to answer, or do you don't want that panel member to answer?
Anyone can answer. Sorry, anyone can answer.
Okay, so I'll take that question. See, I think a lot of this depends on the equation between the agency, or let's say the power balance between the agency and the client as far as their value addition is concerned. If the client feels that agency is providing a lot of value addition, I don't anticipate any of such issues. However, when the client feels that there is a risk to the business, when they are not seeing enough value addition, then they will obviously try and dictate terms or be in the driver's seat.
Does that answer your question? I think essentially, from my perspective, what I've heard is that the storytelling has to continue. That's not ever going to change from the perspective. Your need to be able to be close to the customer, responsive to the customer, and weave your path around the customer has to continue in whatever else that you're going to do. Except that you probably have to be more nimbler, right? Because you're going to have things changing happen. As you said, the demand and supply is going to change overnight, and you need to go and figure out what it is. And I think with that, I'd like to thank the panel members. It's been learning experience for me. So I'm glad Rahul didn't make it in time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you for moderating it for us. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Jessie, Parul. Thank you, Siddharth and Raghu. Can we have a bigger round of applause then, ladies and gentlemen? Please, we are heading towards